Ladies and gentlemen, Tzu Prime is finally coming to Rise of Kingdoms. I used to pray for days like these, boys, but not only are we getting Tzu Prime, we are also getting Ivar the Boneless, which is the new infantry rally commander. So we're going to take a look at all of the skills for both of these commanders, and then later in the video we're going to take a look at the brand new commander reset feature where you can get all of your legendary commander sculptures back in the form of universal sculptures to spend on whatever commander you want, whether it's Tzu Prime or somebody else later down the line. But before we jump in, of course, what's going on, guys? Cheers. Now, as you guys know, I am a sponsored partnered creator with Rise of Kingdoms, so if you want more Rise of Kingdoms content, including breaking news, definitely subscribe to the channel and click the bell to be notified the next time that we upload Rise of Kingdoms news videos. Let's take a look at the Artist of War Sun Tzu, of course, infantry versatility and smite, and his design was striking to me at first because I was like, man, he looks different, like what's wrong? And then I realized he is Tzu Prime, in the prime of his life, so he is younger than the epic version that we've come to know and love through all these years playing Rise of Kingdoms. He doesn't have the gray hair, the gray beard. This is Giga Chad Sun Tzu, and I think his skills are going to prove that. Let's take a look here. The active skill, fluid formation, rage requirement 900. All right, we are off to a fantastic start here, but single target damage. Let's read the skill to figure out, wait a minute, what's going on here? Okay, this commander's troop immediately gains the military sage effect for 5 seconds and deals smite damage to target troops with a damage factor of 3000. Okay, so 900 rage requirement, 3000 single target smite damage, and you have a 5-second military sage buff. We don't know what that is, except here it goes on to explain it. All right, when dealing smite damage to enemy troops, this commander's troop also deals 20% of this smite damage as fixed true damage to up to 2 enemy troops in a fan. This effect can be triggered up to 1 time per second. Okay, so what this means is 3000 smite damage to 1 target and then 600 true damage to 2 other targets in a fan shape area. Now, I know a lot of people are going to look at that and say, oh my god, true damage was so bad on Shajar, it's over, he's cooked, he's done, he's dead. Guys, let's use a little bit of context clues here for a second. Okay, what do you think the odds are that Tzu Prime is not going to be meta? What do you think the odds are that Tzu Prime is going to be Shajar? Like, let's be real, Shajar walked so Tzu Prime could run. I have a feeling this is going to be really good, especially because here's the best part, right? This is a buff to your army for 5 seconds. Okay, what does that mean? Any other smite damage that you deal is also going to deal true damage. So all of a sudden, and I could be wrong here, but we'll take a look, it looks like Sun Tzu is going to convert whoever he's with to dealing true damage in AoE fashion, which means he literally is going to make William Wallace an AoE commander. I mean, that is my initial reading of this, unless I'm wrong about something. Now, as you guys know, it says right here, true damage in addition to ignoring the attacking troops attack and also defending troops defense. Fixed true damage calculation is also not affected by buffs or debuff effects. Okay, so true damage is the weirdest type of damage out of all of them. Basically, its perk is that it can't be debuffed or nerfed or anything like that. The downside is that you can't buff it using, you know, skill damage buff, smite damage buff, whatever the case might be. Let's read the rest of his kit first here. Okay, War for Peace. Infantry units gain 25% march speed. If this commander is in a field troop, their infantry units gain 20% health, 30% attack. This is a fantastic stat distribution. This is probably the best stat distribution I could have asked for. The only thing better would have been 30% health, 20% attack or something like that, but realistically this is fantastic, right? I mean, this is 50% of stats. That is exactly in line with what we would expect from a current generation commander, but 25% march speed means that he is going to be even faster than pretty much any other infantry commander on the field except for Alexander the Great. Like, that's the only exception. Otherwise, Tzu Prime is going to be flying on the battlefield, and this is exactly what infantry needed. I almost don't even care about the last 2 skills and expertise because this is, I mean, this is what we needed. We needed a way to make William Wallace not garbage. I know people are going to hate me in the comment section for that. I know you like using with Bai Chi, but now he's finally going to have a good pair, not an acceptable pair, a good pair. Let's move on. Okay, surprise strike. If this commander is in a field troop, infantry units gain 20% def, even more stats stats. Okay, insane. Also, if the military sage effect is active, this commander's troop deals 10% more smite damage and has a 50% chance of dealing an instance of smite damage for every basic attack with a damage factor of 400. This effect can be triggered up to once every 3 seconds. Oh my god, wait a minute. So wait, are we going to be pairing him with Liu Che actually? Wait, what? Because the expertise on Liu Che gives you effectively a 1 combo attack, which is an extra basic attack, but also there's a 3-second cooldown here, and the buff is only for 5 seconds, so maybe pairing up with Liu Che might trigger this 1 extra time in this time frame. But actually, now that I think about it, that might be a bit overkill. I'm still leaning towards the William Wallace pairing already. I think that's the way to go. 10% more smite damage being locked to the military sage effect kind of sucks because it's only for 5 seconds, right? But the fact that you get this when your active skill procs means that you're gonna get the 10% smite damage for the active skills of both commanders, because you'll have 10% smite damage for 5 seconds. That's really, I mean, that's when you want it anyway, so that's really nice. I would like it to be all the time, but really, like, we're already talking about a commander who has good rage requirement and has a unique ability to like create AoE true damage, and he's faster, he's got more stats. It's hard to complain about this being conditional to 5 seconds during the buff window. Let's move on to the next skill. This commander's troop takes 10% less damage. Wow, okay, just across the board 10% less all damage. I love to see that. Gains 20 extra rage for every 1 enemy troop that takes fixed true damage from the military sage effect. Has a 100% chance to deal 2% more damage for the next 5 seconds whenever gaining rage from the myriad maneuvers effect. This effect can stack up to 5 times, and its duration resets whenever it gains another stack. Okay, let's break this down here. First of all, I love how they've kind of done an homage to the original Sun Tzu, right? Remember, epic Sun Tzu's active skill is a rage engine. When he hits multiple targets, he gains rage, right? We're seeing they built that into this skill here, which is fantastic. So we still have a rage engine on Tzu Prime, which is insane. Okay, so here we can see that this deals true damage to up to 2 enemies in a fan, and so you can gain a total of 40 rage from each, you know, skill shot basically. And then is this a stacking all damage? Right, it can't be. This has got to be just 2% more damage for the true damage, right? That's what I'm assuming here, or maybe it is all damage. I don't know. 100% chance to deal 2% more damage for 5 seconds. Oh no, it can't. It's got to be all damage. Okay, so we can get up to 10% all damage stacked here as well. If you get, you know, 2 true damage from the primary, 2 true damage from the secondary, that's 4 times 2 is 8% all damage for 5 seconds, and then it's going to drop off, right? But it does reset when it gains another stack. So I don't know, I'm curious about the uptime of this, like just with the timing and everything. Like, you might need to get an instant proc smite damage on top of the active skills to really get that max 10%, but we'll have to wait and see when he comes in the game. Let's take a look at the expertise. This commander's troop immediately get, oh, so this is a buff of the active skill. Oh my god. Okay, this commander's troop immediately gains the military stage effect for 5 seconds, deals 3000 smite damage. Okay, so none of that has changed here. When dealing smite damage to enemy troops, this commander's troop also deals 30% of this smite damage as fixed true damage to up to 2 enemy troops in a fan. This effect can trigger 1 time per second. Okay, so they've literally just bumped it from 20 to 30%. So instead of 600 damage, it's 900 damage, right? Which is just insane. I mean, my god. Okay, this is, I think this could be a must-have commander. I mean, look, let's be real here. 3000 single target damage kind of sucks, right? Like, let's just be honest, it kind of sucks, but a low rage requirement is amazing. I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first infantry commander ever to have a lower rage requirement. And then on top of that, if the military sage effect works the way that I think it works, I think we're going to be able to turn smite damage into AoE damage when you're pairing him with somebody like William Wallace, right? I'm curious to know, what if you do pair him with an AoE commander like Liu Che? It says when dealing smite damage to enemy troops, this commander troop also deals up to 30% of the smite damage as fixed true damage to up to 2. So can you like turn Liu Che's 5 target AoE into like 10 target true damage, right? Almost like a scatter shot in a way. Now Rise of Kingdoms also posted a video on their YouTube channel showing off Sun Tzu Prime, and in the video they show him with William Wallace. Okay, so I feel like I'm on the right track here with how this works, but it says here single target skill with AoE true damage. Okay, let's see how this actually works. Okay, so there's the active skill animation of Sun Tzu Prime. He just puts his staff out and then he points at the person that's going to get obliterated here. Okay, and let's see, he deals 20,000. I think it looks like the initial shot is 20,000, and then we've got 1,800 as the true damage after, and then we see William Wallace deals 14,000, and we see another 1,735. Okay, 1,738 would have been perfect with Fetty Wap coming out of jail, but anyway, if you know you know. Regardless, it does look okay. We see another 2,100 here. Okay, so yeah, we just saw 3 hits of true damage and 2 smite damage shots, or maybe we just saw the extra 300 damage factor on our boy William Wallace here. But either way, this does confirm that Sun Tzu Prime's active skill will turn William Wallace's single target damage into AoE, right? So that's big news. We finally this is basically buffing William Wallace as well. Kind of insane stuff here to think about. Now before we move on to Ivar the Boneless, if you've made it this far into the video, consider dropping a thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. But also it's important to know that Sun Tzu Prime is also going to be available for free to unlock when he lands in the game. Okay, this is the skilled stratagems event. As you can see, you need 30 of these scrolls and you can exchange up to 10 sculptures of Sun Tzu Prime. Okay, so if we press play on the video for a second, it literally just says free Prime Sun Tzu. Okay, so however you get these scrolls, there should be a way to get at least 300 scrolls for free just by playing the game or doing the events or whatever the case might be. Hopefully it's not too hard to get him. We've got the Weathered Insight event. Okay, I don't know how you're going to be able to do this, whether this is going to be similar to like the event with Emperor Qin, for example, where you do like the conquering the stages or the conquering of the maps. Basically, I know a lot of people like that. I kind of liked that event, but it did take a while to really get used to it. Maybe I'm just stupid, I don't know. So okay, just to recap, Sun Tzu Prime is an AoE smite true damage hybrid with a low rage requirement, fantastic stats, literally 70% of stats, 25% march speed. You can unlock him for free, and there's going to be a commander reset event, which we'll talk about later in the video. This is effectively everything that infantry needed and possibly even more, because it makes William Wallace even better, right? So this is a big day for infantry mains who may have been regretting their investments into William Wallace. You might actually now have a pair for him. Okay, and I love how that video kind of just literally said it, like, yeah, just pair it with William Wallace. I hope cavalry mains enjoyed being meta for about 6 weeks, because that was quick. Anyway, let's move on to Ivar the Boneless. I love his helmet. I kind of wish he was wearing it though, because I don't know, I just feel like we don't have enough commanders that are just actually rocking their gear, you know what I mean? But anyway, infantry conquering defense, pain is my greatest weapon. Okay, he sounds like an emo middle schooler, but let's take a look here. Oh my god, AoE smite damage. It's over. Okay, 1,000 rage requirement, deal smite damage to up to 3 enemy troops in a fan with damage factor of 2,500. Every additional target reduces the damage by 15% for the next 3 seconds. This commander's troop gains 15 rage per second. Wow, as a rally commander. Wow, that is crazy. Oh my god, no way. Wait a minute, look at his stats, boys. This commander's infantry units gain 10% health, 20% march speed, 30% attack. They finally listened. They listened to me. Oh my god, I'm just kidding. They didn't listen to me specifically. It just so happens to be the case that what they've done is they've put stats on this commander that are not locked behind him being in a rally. Okay, so you can get all these stats in the open field as an open field commander. That is big news, especially considering a 3 target 2,500 AoE with a rage buff is kind of insane. This is looking really good so far. Let's see what the rest of the skills say. When attacking cities or strongholds, this commander's troop deals 20% more smite damage. Infantry units in this commander's troop deal 10% more damage against cavalry, and this commander's troop has a 50% chance to gain 30 extra rage when dealing smite damage. This effect can only be triggered once per second. Wow, crazy rage engines on this guy. Really good stuff here. Taking a look at the 4th skill, if this commander is leading a rally attack, 1, their rallied army takes 10% less combo attack damage, wow, directly countering the cavalry here. 2, deals an instance of smite damage to the attacker when their rallied army is hit with a basic attack with a damage factor of 200. If this received attack is part of a combo attack, their rallied army gains a 10% bonus to all damage for the next 3 seconds. This effect can be triggered for up to 7 times per second. This effect can be only triggered once by 1 enemy troop per second with a 2-second cooldown. So this is just anti-swarm, right? I mean, if you swarm him, not only are you going to take the counterattack damage, you're also going to be taking extra smite damage, and if any of the people swarming this rally is dealing combo damage to it, you're just going to buff the rally, right? So yeah, really crazy stuff. I do feel like the meta needed an anti-swarm rally, so I mean, that seems like this is it. Expertise says this commander's troop takes 10% less normal damage. Wow, just across the board, that's crazy. If remaining units are below 50%, then their troop takes an additional 5% less normal damage. Okay, so yeah, really bit of tankiness here. We have a bit of anti-swarm, we have a ton of stats here, we got a rage engine, we got AoE. I don't, with these last 2 skills, they're both in rallies only, so really you get the first skill, second skill, and expertise. Those work in the field, everything else is rally only. Is that enough to make him field viable? Probably not, but I mean, the march speed is nice. As a budget build, you might be able to use him, like, unironically, maybe, right? Maybe. I think this is the closest to that we could use in the open field for a rally commander or garrison commander that we've seen in a long time. I know a lot of people use David, but he doesn't have any march speed. Here we see march speed, right? So I mean, he actually unironically might be a good budget build in the open field, but really the people that should be maxing him are the rally leaders. Okay, now let's cover a couple of extra things, including the commander reset event. Okay, first of all, we've got the Sage and Sagacity event. I don't know if I said that right, but either way, this is another way you can get your hands on Tzu Prime sculptures for $5. Unfortunately, you have to actually spend to unlock this track. I really wish they would have done the free sculptures and then the $5 one on top of that, but either way, $5 gets you 20 sculptures plus all the goodies in these next 2 tracks. I think the $5 is a no-brainer spend, and then for $10 you get 10 more sculptures of Tzu Prime and all of these goodies here. Again, I think for me that'll probably be worth it, but after that I'm not really sure, right? They actually don't show it all here. There's more off to the side, but we'll have to wait and see for this to come into the game. This is nothing really new, right? Okay, now let's talk about the commander reset event, the rites of renewal. Okay, so as you can see, this is a 6-day event. During the event, you may spend gems to reset all skills for 1 legendary commander of your choice. All materials used to upgrade this commander's skills will be refunded. Okay, so just the sculptures, nothing else. It says upgrade this commander's skills. Okay, so just commander sculptures. You're not getting back stars, you're not getting back experience tombs or anything like that, just the sculptures here. Here we can see an expertise Charles Martel. He's level 30. Everything is unlocked here, so I'm glad they showed Charles Martel. What that means is you can use gold key commanders. Right now there might be some restrictions in terms of you can't use gathering commanders, right? I mean, if you can use gathering commanders, my Ishida is getting sent to the incinerator immediately, right? Of course Ishida is going into the garbage. Why would I pick anybody else, right? Forget Ishida, I don't need him. But assuming you can't use gatherers, and you probably can't use Ethelfled, and you probably can't use Minamoto, right? Using a gold key commander is probably the play here, and we have confirmed that you can do that. Now here is the point of contention where a lot of people are upset about this. Okay, and let's talk about this. All right, skill reset. You have selected this commander to reset skills, and the following materials will be refunded. Confirming this reset will consume gems, with every legendary commander sculpture returned costing 100 gems. So here you can see that because Martel was expertise, he had 690 sculptures invested into him. It cost 69,000 gems. Let's think about this logically. Do you guys remember when the commander swap event was first revealed and we didn't know what the cost was? You guys remember? OGs are gonna remember. This was a little over a year ago, I think, and I made a video saying, like, even if this was 50,000 gems, it's a no-brainer. It's insanely good value, right? And everyone got mad at me because they're like, oh my god, that's so expensive. Well, I bet you wish I was running the show now, don't you folks? Because it costs more than 50, but either way, you can't find any other event in Rise of Kingdoms that is going to get you better gem value per sculpture than this. Maybe the 7k gem event, right? If you actually complete it and you do all the grinding. But if you think about the holiday events where you're exchanging, basically 1,000 gems worth of the premium item for 1 legendary commander sculpture, this is 10 10 times that value, right? Even if we look at the Wheel of Fortune and we think about like what would be a super lucky pull, right? Like let's say you do a 5 spin and you get 10 sculptures from it, right? That's still like 360 gems per sculpture. Okay, so this is like easily one of the best events in terms of gem value in the entire game, right? Now here's a couple of things that you have to keep in mind. The cost depends on the number of sculptures you're getting back. So if you can't afford a full legendary reset, great news, you can pick a commander that's 5511, and for 18,000 gems you get 180 legendary commander sculptures. Again, that is insane value. That like literally, I know people like wanted this event to just be free, right? But realistically it was never going to be free. You knew it, I knew it, everyone knew it. No one with reasonable expectations thought that this event would be free, just like the commander swap event was not free, right? So just understand that you don't need to spend 69,000 gems here, right? You can just spend whatever you have, which is, I mean, that's kind of beautiful, right? It fits into your budget. If you can only reset a commander with a couple of sculptures, then you do that. If you can afford the full reset, do that as well. I've recently been critical about them adding multiple battle passes to the game, which is just pointless. Like, why would you do that? No other games do that. I've also been critical about the kingdom select city themes, right? I think those are super dumb. So I have no problem criticizing the developers when I think it's warranted. This unfortunately is not a time that I feel they deserve any criticism. I know that's not what you want to hear, but I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you the facts. And this really is one of those things where it's like you just do the math and it's like, okay, there's really no way to argue that this is bad value. This is objectively insane value. The only question is, should you spend gems here, right? Like that's really all it comes down to. I'm gonna spend gems here because I have gems to spend. But really, if you think about like, okay, you know, you're working on equipment, you're working on armaments, you're working on all this other stuff, is this a priority for your account? For some of you it might not be, right? For some of you, you might have 5 armies that are fully stacked and you have enough sculptures for Tzu Prime and like that's it, you don't really need this, in which case save your gems. Don't spend 69,000 gems on sculptures if you don't need sculptures for your account right now, right? So that's another point where it's like only, you know, spend here if you need to. But it's also important to realize too that these are universal sculptures that you're getting. Okay, so the value here is beyond just, you know, what the current meta is. You can take these sculptures and save them for a year and invest in whatever comes out next January that's a must-have commander, right? So the value here is hard to even perceive at first glance because it's kind of insanely good value if we're being honest with ourselves. Now the biggest criticism here is, yes, Omniarch, it's good value, but we're getting rid of something. We're losing a legendary commander. And it's like, that is true on paper, but in practice, nothing of real value is lost, right? Let's be honest. If you're an open field fighter, you're not using Charles Martel. You're just not. Even if you're going to do, you know, popping out of your city, doing some cheeseburger tactics, you're not using Charles Martel unless you're a Giga Whale. Okay. And even still, you don't have to reset Martel. You could reset your Sargon that you literally never use. You're never going to use it. Tzu Prime proves it. Okay. The future of infantry is smite. We all knew that already. Now we know it even harder. Get rid of a commander that you're not using and nothing of value is lost. Does that make sense? You're not actually losing anything here. So that argument is like a good one on paper, but in reality, it's like, what are we even talking about, right? Like those commanders were going to sit there and do nothing for the next couple of years. Like there was never a reality where they would come back. Just look at the museum, for Christ's sakes. Like the buffs there are a joke. Now, the last thing we have to talk about with the commander reset event is this FAQ that was posted by a goose, and let's see the answers here. How many commanders can be reset? Players in SOC can choose one commander to reset their skills. How much does it cost to reset a commander? The cost depends on how many gold heads have been invested into that commander. Each gold head costs 100 gems. Here's a big deal. Okay, if you invested 400 universal gold heads and 100 commander sculptures into a commander, the reset will cost 40,000 gems and you will receive 400 universal gold heads and 100 commander sculptures back. Okay, so if you have for example, my Ragnar or my Julius Caesar, those commanders were only expertised through gold keys. So theoretically, I would get 0 universals back from those commanders, right? Now, the question is, I've been playing the game for so long that it actually does not track how many sculptures I put into them. So how would it know? Maybe for the gold key commanders, they're just, you know, if you fall in that bucket, maybe they won't give you back anything and you just can't reset them, or maybe they'll just give you back the whole thing in universals. That would be insanely good for old players. but this is critical right here. Okay, so you're only getting back the universals you spent. I believe they've already clarified this, but it's good to see them actually break it down. For an example, does the commander need to be expertise to be reset? No. This is what I said earlier in the video. Can I partially reset a commander? The answer is no. So if you invested 600 heads but you can only spend 20,000 gems, can you get 20,000 gold heads back? The answer is no. Partial resets are not supported. However, this fact is for clarification purposes only. Final details are subject to in-game content. Okay, so I kind of wish that the whole thing was just all universal, right? That would be really nice. That would make it even better value when it comes to actual gem spend, but really a lot of this is what we expected, right? And another thing that I know a lot of people are complaining about is like, okay, you know, like this is really expensive in terms of gems. If I want a full reset at 69,000 and like, you know, I'm free to play, like the event's only going to be around for a few days, I'm not going to be able to get that many gems. And it's like, that's true, but also keep in mind, if you guys are subscribed to the channel, you know that they announced this event on December 22nd, right? We talked about it here on the channel. This is something that everyone knew was coming. They said it was coming in January. Like, we did get 3 or more weeks to prepare for this. Now, I know that's still not a lot of time when it comes to like getting enough gems to afford this, but like everyone, if gems were a concern for you, like you already knew this was coming down the pipeline, you probably should have been saving your gems already. I mean, that's always the best practice. That's always what you should be doing. That's always what people recommended, even for the commander swap back in the day. So I'm glad we have this FAQ. I understand free to play players are still upset about this. I get why you're upset, right? I do. It's just hard for me to be upset about it when it comes to like, man, the value is just so insane. It's such good value that it's like, this is not where I'm probably going to spend my energy, you know, crashing out, because frankly, they didn't even have to include this event to begin with, right? When commander swap came out, that was it. They said this was one and done, and that was it. And here we've got another event in that same caliber. It's kind of nice that we got it anyway, right? So that's my 2 cents on the commander reset event. It is objectively insanely good value, but only spend your gems there if you need commander sculptures. Don't spend them there if you need to work on gear or something else. But really, I think this is a great event. If you're missing sculptures for Tzu Prime, hopefully these events will land at the same time. I think they will, based on the announcement video. But guys, if you made it to the end of the video, consider dropping a thumbs up on it. It really helps out the channel. It kind of helps get this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other Rise of Kingdoms players might see it. And comment down below your thoughts on Tzu Prime, on Ivar, and on the commander reset event. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell to be notified the next time we upload breaking news for Rise of Kingdoms. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.